You are listening to Phil Hulett and Friends. I'm Phil Hulett. I thank you for tuning in. This is the talk show where you get nothing but fun, informative, sometimes unexpected conversation about the stories you care about. You'll hear from the experts, authors, and others. And we hope to put a little smile on your face along the way. Right now, in the studio with me are Chris Martin, who's back after a little hiatus. Missed you, bro.
Yeah.
And Ted Prichard, who we haven't seen since, 4 days ago.
Last week.
Yeah. I'm Phil Hulett. Thanks for tuning in. All right, deep breath. Inhale. Hold it. Exhale. We're back here on Phil Hulett and Friends, and so are you. Thanks for that. That's what makes this magical. We're talking, you're listening. And now we're going to talk about marijuana. It's time for Pot Talk on the program, everybody. Joining us live in the studio is a guy who goes by the moniker The Wolf of Weedstreet.
I like that.
He runs marijuanastocks.com, which he says is the biggest cannabis investment website in the United States. His name is Jason Spatafora, and he's right here in this here studio, and doesn't even smell like a spent bong.
Nah.
Thank you.
He's perfectly clear-eyed. He's ready to talk
Is
money.
he ready to go? I mean, it's late in the day, so today's stock trading has been done for a while, right?
He's ready.
About an hour.
Yeah. All right. How'd you do today?
To be honest, I didn't even open my account. I've just been too busy.
No, that's confident.
Yeah. Well, I'm fine. I'm in deep in like biotech right now, so
Very good.
you don't need to babysit those.
Look at this guy. So you're not 100% into the. Of course, you don't put all your eggs in your basket if you're going to be a good investor, right?
No, I mean I do primarily just invest in marijuana.
Oh, really? And now explain. How do you do that exactly? Because it seems to me like there are a bunch of potheads who think they're business people, and they open up these businesses, and then they get rolling, and the cash comes in, then they spend the cash, and regular problems that happen with businesses start to happen, and they say, "Dude, that's harsh. I'm sleepy," and they don't manage the business like a typical business person would, and then things tank in a hurry. Is that what happens in the real world of marijuana business?
Well, you have a lot of people that come on and, they'll develop like a great app or something, and they make some money, they take it public, and then they just kind of sit back and coast, I mean, that's primarily what happens.
Yeah, and you can't coast if you're going to be competitive.
Exactly, and you see there's a huge ability for people that are smarter to come in, take these ideas, roll them up, and repackage them.
Roll them up, huh? I got you. So there are a bunch of successful marijuana stocks. So explain to me what a business looks like that would be a successful marijuana stock.
Well, I mean, look, all these companies are primarily on the OTC, which is over the counter.
Okay.
And they don't actually touch the plant. So it's all ancillary businesses. So, it's the picks and shovels. So you'll have people that are, they sell grow lights or vaporizers, or they have some kind of disruptive technology like mass roots, for example.
Right. Okay. And is there a differentiation that you make between the recreational side of the business and the medicinal side of the business?
No, there's not really any difference.
Is there more money to be made in one side or the other?
No, it's just there's more money to be made if you pick the right companies, and you trade on the momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a question. How about some of the big tobacco companies? How are they involved, and are they in like a basket of stocks that you would, a mutual fund, that kind of thing? I just wonder.
Yeah, like Altria and like Lorillard and all those. Like, are they going to get in? Yeah, eventually. It's gonna have to be federally legal. I actually have a business partner whose grandfather has a tobacco company. And the way that he, gets away with not paying tax in the country is he sells all his tobacco in China and the UK.
Okay.
And he's been to the factory and he's seen the packaging for the marijuana cigarettes.
Right, so they're ready.
From Big Tobacco.
Oh.
Sure.
Yeah, of course. And at some point, all the little guys will get squeezed out.
And 100%. And that's exactly what we're expecting.
Yeah.
So the people that either evolve and, team up, like the Avengers or something, are the ones that are going to make it. But, the other 95% of them are just going to go by the wayside.
Yeah. So what do? You get in when they're on the upswing, and you get out in a hurry.
You buy the rumor, you sell the news. I mean, that's primarily how it works.
Yeah, you have to put yourself in a position to get bought up by the big companies, right? I mean, that's got to be the goal of some of these smaller guys.
Yeah, it's the goal of, even myself.
Yeah.
And I'm private. but I primarily do ad revenues, and basically what I do is, instead of investing in some of these companies, I just circulate their information because I have such a big audience.
Yeah, and that's what they're buying. They're buying your audience. They're buying your subscription base, basically.
Yeah. And I don't even say go out and buy this stock. I just I tweet their news. I make I start the conversation. And it's very effective. So, our idea is to one day be like the Bloomberg of cannabis.
Yeah.
And then when it does go legal or an ETF is created, then we've got such a big audience that, somebody comes in and just, scoops us up.
Yeah, right. So when a guy like Willie Nelson owns a marijuana company, there's some cachet behind a name like that. Other people are running the business, no doubt. He just has his name on it. Unless his hands are in there, he's like a cheesemaker.
He's
right?
a farmer.
He's got his hands right there making the cheese every day. I'm not sure exactly, but is that an example of a here today, gone tomorrow kind of a stock, marijuana stock?
Yeah, I mean, Tommy Chong's done stuff like that. Everybody's kind of getting into it. You have Snoop Dogg that's trying to start a fund. I mean, if it was a record label, yeah, maybe that'd be something I'd invest in. But unless he has, some really good, investment bankers or just, money guys behind him, like, who would give money for him to sell
so just because a guy smokes copious amounts of marijuana doesn't mean that he's going to put together a successful marijuana business.
Well, you have a lot of savvy people that are investing in this. It's not just potheads. I mean, you do, for these penny stocks, it's primarily a lot of millennials. But I've seen millennials, I've seen a 20-year-old kid make almost $1 million in a 3-month period playing marijuana stocks.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
Well, what are some of the stocks that you are either looking at or that you trade?
Well, it's the summer. One thing that people should always realize is that the OTC basically shuts down from April 1st to October 1st. So you've got, what I've been looking at has basically been like the big three, which is all NASDAQ companies. So it's GW Pharma, INSY, and then a new company called Zenerba. Now, Zenerba just did an IPO a couple weeks ago. And I've known about it. It wasn't a really well-kept secret, and I knew about it because there was an investment bank called Jefferies that was on it, and they were, big analysts when it came to INSY and GW Pharma, and both of those stocks did unbelievably well. So, I basically just kind of tweeted it, go out and free up as much cash as you can for this IPO. These are the people that are involved, XYZ. The thing IPO'd, it was supposed to open at $14. Instead, it opened at $15.50. 7 days later, it hit $39.
Oh.
So, and then I get a call from Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Saying, "Hey, how did you know?" And I'm like, "How did you guys miss this?"
You're right.
And a lot of it is just betting on the psychology of the marketplace.
And is that one of those where you get out right away, or do you hold on to that?
Look, if you get 100% on any stock and you don't take money, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to liquidate. You don't have to take it all, is what you're saying.
No,
but take your fair share.
Yeah, look, something like that is very liquid, so you could sell a little bit at the top, and then if you want to roll the dice, maybe you buy back in at support. But you have to. I always tell people, take your initial investment. Play with the rest.
Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Exactly.
Yeah, the old saying. Now, why invest now? Wouldn't it be better to wait for the industry to kind of shake through its growing pains and establish, and then, like you say, there's ETFs and all that sort of thing, and there's some guidance, and it's an established industry, and all the stoner dudes on their couch trying to run a company are all out of the business, and it's all real business people running it.
So why now?
Yeah, why now?
Okay. This is actually, nobody's ever actually asked me this. Okay, let me give you a little context to this. So in 2013, Eric Holder, and this is how I got into marijuana stock, said, I think it was August 13th, not to be too specific.
Yeah.
He said, the Department of Justice is going to lay off states with marijuana laws on the books.
Good sign.
And essentially he was talking about Colorado.
Yeah.
And as we approached January 1st, 2014, when Colorado was going to go fully recreational and medical, all these marijuana stocks just skyrocketed.
Sure.
It was nuts. I mean, you had companies that have less revenues per year than I do in a month.
Yeah. It was reminiscent of the dot-com boom,
but
right?
half $1 billion.
Yeah.
So, now we've got 2016, which is an election year, and you've got other states on the books that are coming, for medical or recreational. And you also, and some of these are, kind of purple states like Florida and everything else. So
you know what? Before you finish answering the question, I want you to put a bookmark right where you are in the answer, because it's important that we delve into this a little more, and then look down the road just a little bit as well when we start adding this to our 401k at some point, and when companies look at it as a legitimate part of a portfolio for their employees, et cetera, et cetera. So much to look at when we add some more fuel to the flame of this discussion. Investing in marijuana. More of that coming up in the second hour of Phil Hulett and Friends. I want to tell you about a spectacular dining experience. It's Ports a Call Waterfront Dining, award-winning service and cuisine with a view of the dynamic L.A. harbor from every seat. Enjoy daily sunset specials, as well as the South Bay's best champagne brunch. The outdoor harborside patio is a perfect setting for happy hour every weekday from 3 to 8. Ports a Call Waterfront Dining. For reservations and directions, visit portsacalldining.com or call 310-833-3553. You are listening to Phil Hulett and Friends. This is hour 2 of the talk show, where you get nothing but fun, informative, sometimes unexpected conversation about the stories you care about. You'll hear from the experts, authors, and others. And we hope to put a little smile on your face along the way. And with us in the studio is Jason Spatafora. He's the Wolf of Weedstreet. And you heard of the .com era. Well, there's also something that... did you coin this, the .bong era?
I think I was quoted in BBC for .bong.
How long a period was that before, at the beginning of the rush to buy those stocks and when the bubble popped?
I'd say it started in mid-October.
Last year?
Yeah. Oh, no, of 2013.
13, okay.
And then it lasted till probably the first week of April.
Ironic that it was 2013, wasn't it? 13 has a steeped connection to marijuana for some reason. The stocks that you invested in, or the portfolio that you had during the .bong era versus, I don't know, the NASDAQ, how did it do?
Even if you held the stocks, it did 3,000%.
Oh.
And I didn't even know this.
And that's after they popped.
That was, that's from January 1st to April 1st. I actually had one of the tech bloggers from Google following me, and he had put this together for me. Uh-huh. And all of a sudden he sent it to me with a picture like, "Hey, Wolf, thanks for the solar panels on my house. This is what your portfolio has been doing."
Nice.
Even if you had held stocks that I said to get rid of, it was still 3,000%.
No kidding.
But I had runners in there that went 10,000% over the course of 3 months. I had 2 that went 1,000. And then in Q4 of 2014, I had one that went 1,500, one that went 300%, and then another that ended up into 2015, it went 3,300%.
Then a lot of people put a lot of money into this concept because they believe in it, and they're saying, yeah, sure, all of this should be, I've been saying forever, it should be legalized. Let's invest in this. It makes a lot of sense. And then they lose their shirts.
Yeah, well, there's more to it. You see, like, there's promotions, and there's this whole side of this whole community that, a lot of people have no idea of what's going on.
Is there a bunch of pump and dump going on?
Yeah, there's definitely some of that. But, you also have, people like shorts fighting, money guys. Mm-hmm. So people trying to just create short squeezes, and basically get the guy that's shorting a stock to tap out. Mm-hmm. And that's what we saw with this company. It's called THCZ, and it just went nuts.
Yeah. Boy, there's a lot of high stakes, high money wrestling going on at any given moment when you get into stocks and this whole marijuana thing. And before we took the break, you were right in the middle of explaining, and if you could just backtrack a little bit, I asked the question, why invest in marijuana stocks now rather than waiting till the industry kind of gets its legs and everybody calms down a little bit and says, okay, fine, this is a legitimate sector to invest in or to add to your portfolio?
I was basically talking a little bit about how Eric Holder had said that they were going to lay off states that had laws on the books, and then that carried into 2014, and all of a sudden everybody was talking about Colorado, how it went recreational. Then, after we get the metrics from that experiment, we see that it was an unbelievable success. Deaths from overdose is down 25%. Commercial square foot for real estate is like quadruple. So there was this huge ripple effect, and now it's going to be an election year, and marijuana and industrial hemp, for that matter, are becoming more and more topical. They're being more and more accepted, and people are going to turn out to vote. Unfortunately, the Republicans don't see that, and they aren't really trying to capitalize off of that youth vote.
Yeah.
But now we're starting to see data come from doctors that cannabis needs to be studied, that it shouldn't be a Schedule I drug. So basically, the way they have it is heroin is a safer drug than marijuana.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which or cocaine. Like, nobody dies from smoking marijuana. You'd have to smoke like 10 pounds of marijuana in one shot to kill you.
Right. Well, okay. I suppose when you're going to be an investor with your eyes wide open, then you do have to discuss to a degree all the political issues out there and all the rhetoric and how marijuana is always said to be a gateway drug and all that, and it's not necessarily great for society. But the fact is, more and more states, and California is on the list, that will have recreational marijuana on the ballot, and when that happens, there will be things attached, paraphernalia and other items that have to be manufactured and sold and consumed. And those companies will make a profit and are worth looking at. Is that the way you operate?
100%. There's too much money in it. It's a completely new industry.
Well, how much money?
Billions of dollars. The growth from 2013 to 2014, I believe, was $1.7 billion industry-wide, and it's just doubling year over year.
Yeah.
And then with more states comes more money, and and it spurs on, completely different industries and ancillary verticals.
California goes recreational. The industry could more than double, because I imagine that the consumption in California would dwarf that of Colorado and any other state that's considering.
Almost just based on population.
Yes,
right.
I think so.
Let alone the liberalism that.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
then this is what comes. So the marijuana markets are catalyst driven. Mm-hmm. So California going fully recreational is a major catalyst. It's bigger than Colorado. Schedule I changes. Then that's an unbelievable catalyst. And then, what Schedule I opens the door for is federal legalization.
Remind us again what Schedule I is.
Schedule I basically says that, marijuana has absolutely no health benefits, that heroin or cocaine is a safer drug, which are Schedule II drugs. Mm-hmm. So right now the Schedule I drugs are like crystal meth, LSD, mushrooms.
Yeah.
And then it's like Schedule II is like heroin, cocaine, and like, Oxycontin.
Yeah, who were the geniuses that put that together?
And Schedule 3 is what? Whiskey?
It doesn't even matter at that point.
Yeah, can I ask a question about what's going to be popular? Because we keep talking about medicinal use, recreational use, and how that's going to lead to being able to make more pipes and stuff like that. But you said earlier industrial hemp, and it seems to me that one of the most popular parts of the marijuana plant was the fact that you could build bridges and clothes and ropes and houses out of this really durable material. Is that really less popular than the fact that you can smoke it or get these CBDs for cancer patients?
Well, the CBD is interesting. Look, hemp it's really unfortunate, what William Randolph Hearst did to that plant. Because of, a lot of people don't even realize that hemp doesn't have any THC, anything, that kind of, gets you stoned like THC. So, but as an industrial product, it's unbelievable. I mean, the Constitution was drafted on hemp, paper. And the reason that it was so vilified was that, in the 30s, William Randolph Hearst, who was basically the Rupert Murdoch of his time, had all these newspapers, but he had a huge interest in timber for those papers. And hemp was a direct threat to his investment and everything that he had. So, with the help of, I believe it was some congressman named Anslinger, they put up a bill that basically made hemp illegal. And then, the whole Schedule I thing happened much later. and the fake war on drugs and et cetera.
Yeah, they demonized it, but is it coming back? Is hemp going to be a product that's going to be used in the future?
Yeah. So hemp is now they're now letting farmers grow it, and that's the main thing. For farmers in America, the price of corn or soybeans or this or that. What they can do with hemp, every single portion of it is usable, and there's a need for it. From anything from soaps to cleaning up industrial waste.
How about international distribution and paraphernalia? Is any other country on a par with the potential market here?
China, but if you smoke weed in China, I think they execute you.
Well, so invest in bullets and guillotines, then, right? Yeah. Okay, very good. The website is marijuanastocks.com, the biggest cannabis investment site in the U.S., according to the Wolf of Weedstreet, which his Twitter account is @WolfOfWeedstreet. It's worth just looking at the banner photo. Trust me on that. Jason Spadafora, thanks for spending some time with us.
Thanks, guys. It was a good time.
Yeah, that's great. No smoke and mirrors, right?
No, none.